I asked ChatGPT for a life overhaul, but grit wasn't in the plan. Why AI plans sound great, yet your habits stay unchanged. AI designs your roadmap, but it can't build your drive. That's your job. Imagine this. You open ChatGPT, ask for a detailed growth plan, and in seconds you receive a perfect schedule. Wake at 5:30 a.m., meditation and journaling, deep work blocks, a workout, daily reflection prompts. It feels powerful, structured, motivating, as if momentum has already begun. But here's what anyone chasing real growth quickly discovers. No prompt can build consistency or character. That's because the most important factor in lasting change isn't clarity, it's grit. AI offers structure and ideas, but grit comes only through enduring challenge. It comes when motivation fades, when things get uncomfortable, when resistance shows up, and you still choose progress. Why action-oriented mindset is non-negotiable. AI can design schedules, answer mindset prompts, or suggest affirmations, but it cannot force you to execute them. It cannot decide when you tolerate discomfort. It can't feel regret or pride. Only you can. An action-oriented mindset means choosing discipline even when there's no reward. It means doing your routine when you don't feel like it. It means continuing when inspiration stops. This mindset doesn't live in a prompt. It lives in your habits and character. What grit looks like in real life. Here are the real-world signs of grit-taking over programmed planning. You posted a micro-action, like writing one sentence, even though your brain was screaming stop. You reset after slipping, even if the temptation to bounce back is just tomorrow's prompt, not today's move. You committed to showing up, with or without likes, affirmation, or external applause. That's grit, and it's what separates people stuck in planning loops from those actually walking the journey. Why AI wiring doesn't build resilience. AI tricks your brain into thinking progress is happening by giving clarity and stimulation. But clarity without struggle becomes comfort masquerading as change. Without real challenge, no identity shifts, no resilience, not even real momentum. And that's why users who lean heavily on AI often slide into stuckness. They chase the feeling of progress, not the actual work of becoming consistent. The real work AI can't do for you. To build grit, you must 1. Cultivate the discipline to begin, even when tired. 2. Choose commitment over entropy, especially when results are delayed. 3. Reframe setbacks not as failures, but as feedback worth integrating. 4. Move in spite of emotions, or you'll let them keep you stuck. That's the action-oriented mindset AI can suggest, but only you can apply. Where we're going next. In this video part, we begin to rewire your belief about growth. It's not performance-based, but habitual. It's not result-driven, but identity-aligned. It's not dependent on motivation, but thrives on inner resolve. If you've felt energized by AI prompt cycles, but still uncertain in real life, this is your turning point. In part 2, we'll break down the neuroscience of discipline, why your nervous system resists good habits, and how to rewire it step by step. Stick with Think Fresh Daily. We don't just talk about mindset, we help you become it. You already know the problem. AI can generate vision boards and productivity prompts, but when you stop taking action, the plans sit untouched. That's because real growth isn't powered by clarity, it's fueled by internal drive, rewired through repeated action. So how do we build that drive? Let's unpack the science, why momentum feels so hard, and how you can train your brain to reward doing, not just dreaming. 1. Dopamine deception and mental reward. Your brain is rewarded when it expects reward, not after you've done anything. When you visualize success, read an inspiring script, or click through another goal roadmap, your dopamine spikes. You feel progress and your brain thinks it's getting somewhere. This is called the illusion of motion. But dopamine-driven motivation is short-lived. Without action, the chemical response fades. The brain then demands more mental stimulation to feel the same effect, reinforcing planning instead of doing. To break this loop, you must anchor dopamine to execution, not expectation. That means celebrating your actions, even tiny ones, as deeply as your ideas. 2. Habit formation through neuroplastic repetition. Knowledge doesn't build discipline, but repeated action does. When you act in alignment with your vision, your brain forms new neural pathways. These are literally structural. Your brain grows in the direction you move. Visualization primes the path, but habit builds the road. This means you don't need long sessions to grow, just consistent, small efforts. Your second week of showing up matters more than your first week excitement. Small wins compound and create a new identity within you. Over time, you become the person whose behavior matches your vision. AI can give you clarity, but only your repetition rewires your brain into congruence. Built-in resistance. Why discipline feels unnatural. Your brain equates consistency with effort. It's hardwired to avoid energy expenditure that doesn't yield immediate reward. So when you try to adopt a new behavior, your emotional resistance system activates. That's why starting feels hard, even when you're clear about what to do. To build grit, you must train the resistance system to not interpret consistent action as danger. How? Use micro-commitments. If a full routine feels heavy, do one small act you can finish even when tired. Intervene during resistance. Pause, acknowledge the pushback, and continue with the smallest aligned step anyway. This builds emotional resilience, not by bypassing discomfort, but by moving through it. Number 4, commitment as a signal to identity. Real discipline fuels itself through identity. Once your brain believes, I am the kind of person who does this, it requires less motivation to continue. That belief emerges through consistent proof, not declarations. So, small daily action equals identity reinforcement. No proof, no identity growth. When AI paints an identity, e.g. I'm a millionaire, without effort, your brain does not internalize it. When you act like someone owns their life, even imperfectly, you start becoming that person. Now 5, practical strategies you can use. Here's how to build the neuroscience of discipline into real life. After an AI-generated plan, do a micro-step within 5 minutes. Start small. Let action follow clarity quickly. Use a proof journal. Each evening, record what you did, even if it was small. This creates neural feedback loops of consistency. When resistance hits, pause for 10 seconds. Breathe. Then intentionally take one action, even small. This teaches your body that action is safe. Create environmental triggers. Put reminders, cues, or ritual anchors into your space so aligned moves become easier than distraction. Delay mental extensions, refining plans until after action, never before. #6, example case. A subscriber shared, they asked ChatGPT to design a complete growth plan. It looked great, but nothing happened. They were stuck in revision mode. Then they applied micro-step discipline. Write one reflection sentence the next morning. They tracked it and did it again the next day. Slowly, the action became effortless. Momentum became identity. The AI plan remained unchanged. But life inside the plan shifted. Summary. What puts grit into motion? Insight. Practical takeaway. But life in small clarity? Change. Pair AI clarity with immediate action. Dopamine traps favor planning loops. Anchor reward to micro-action, not mental rehearsal. Habits rewire identity. Consistent small action builds character, not big plans alone. Resistance is expected, not failure. Train yourself to act through friction with compassion. Authority comes from internal proof. Your identity grows where you practice, not just where you plan. What comes next in part 3? We'll explore how emotional patterns, like shame, fear, or overwhelm, trigger inertia, and how to design identity-compatible rituals that work in response to internal triggers. If you've ever felt stuck between knowing what to do and actually doing it, this is where the gap ends. Stay with Think Fresh Daily. We're not here to promise your breakthrough. We're here to walk it with you, one aligned micro-step at a time. You have clarity. You've seen the science. You've learned that discipline, not AI prompts, fosters identity. But if motivation still collapses, what's left to build? Welcome to part 3, the emotional architecture of grit. 1. Fear doesn't disappear when you have a plan. Many believe that once clarity arrives, motivation follows automatically. That's not the full story. Emotions carry the weight of past failures, imperfections, or doubts about your own worth. Planning doesn't eliminate this invisible baggage, it often triggers it. When you commit to a vision and emotionally resist taking the next step, it's not procrastination, it's conflict. Your brain loops on, what if it fails again? Or, who will I be when the vision actually demands something difficult? AI scripts don't feel fear, you do. And ignoring internal friction doesn't remove it, it mutes it temporarily. Nashtar 2, the shame trap. when identity misaligns with behavior. You may declare identity affirmations, I am a doer. But the moment you slip on your ritual or fall off your micro-step track, your internal critic awakens. You feel shame. I failed again. Shame then paralyzes action in two ways. It triggers avoidance, because starting again feels like admitting weakness. It fuels negative identity loops. Maybe I'll never be consistent. This shame loop undoes progress faster than perseverance builds it. 3. Emotional friction, breaking through or folding in. When resistance comes, two choices emerge: freeze or lean into the friction. Gritful action doesn't suppress emotion, it includes it. Try this. At pause moment, breathe. Name your emotion. This is shame. Or this is fear. Refocus. Yet today I still take that small step. This rewires your emotional autopilot to expect action, even when discomfort remains. 4. Micro rituals that reshape emotional reactivity. You can create emotional shortcuts that turn friction into forward momentum. Pause and act ritual. After you breathe and feel emotion, perform one aligned micro step. Repeat until action overrides hesitation. Reset note practice. If you break a habit, write one journal entry capturing resistance plus choose to act. No guilt, just data. Anchor affirmation habit. Speak aloud identity-based phrases before discomfort. I begin, even when I don't want to. These practices transform fear into fuel, not obstacle. 5. Shame as signal, not final state. In real emotional work, shame is not a stop sign. It's a marker of dissonance. When you feel shame, pause and breathe. Ask, what story am I repeating about who I am? Then act, starting even with one breath, one step. Each micro-action unlearns the shame pattern. You don't dismiss the feeling, you transform it. Nashta 6, example of emotional activation in action. One subscriber shared, they declared their intention to build consistency. But after 3 days, they skipped the micro-step. Shame flooded them. They paused, wrote, I feel ashamed that I can't even do one sentence. Then they did one sentence. Repeated it again and again. Within a week, they didn't feel powerful. They felt consistent. Soon after, the shame felt less heavy. Their identity shifted toward momentum. Summary: emotional grit is your real edge. Challenge, emotional response, resilient practice. Internal fear or self-doubt, hesitation or hesitation. Pause, name emotion and act micro-step. Shame after a slip, avoidance or shame cycle. Journal the slip, reinitiate action. Resistance to starting, inner conflict. Use affirmation, breath anchor. Emotional friction isn't a barrier, it's intelligence. Listening to it, then continuing anyway. That's where grit lives. What's next in part 4? We'll build emotional alignment into your daily practice, showing how to structure rituals that honor both clarity and feelings, making momentum sustainable without denying resistance. If planning felt smart but life made it feel empty, this part is where integration begins. Stay with Think Fresh Daily. We don't promise comfort, we promise alignment, even in discomfort. You've uncovered why clarity alone fails when emotional resistance blocks your path. Now we build bridges between insight and reality through action-embedded rituals, practices that weave discipline into your daily experience. 1. Rituals as emotional scaffolding. Rituals aren't checklists, they're emotional lifelines that hold you steady when resistance hits. Create core rituals. Pre-action anchor. Before any intentional move, pause, take 3 slow breaths and center your presence. Micro-step ritual. A minimum movement that qualifies as progress, e.g. 1 sentence, 2 squats, 1 minute of journaling. Reset pivot. When stuck, close your eyes, exhale slowly, and reaffirm your identity. Then take just 1 aligned micro-step. These rituals train your system to trust action, 1 step at a time. 2. Ritual plus environment pairing. Environment influences behavior deeply. Set up your physical space to support ritualized action. Place notebook open near your bed. Keep vision or affirmation cards in plain sight. Use timed reminders as cues, not deadlines. Prepare micro-step tools ahead: a journal, a pen, a timer. When friction is minimized, follow-through becomes automatic. 3. Identity-driven prompts. AI is powerful, but only when it supports rather than substitutes for identity. Design prompts like, what's a 1-sentence anchor I can say when my inner critic spins guilt? Offer a 2-line prompt to help me reset if I skip my ritual. Suggest a simple symbol or visual cue to remind me of identity commitment. The goal? Elevate practical prompts that support your resilience, not fantasies. 4. Feedback loops that build trust. Progress isn't built by perfection, it's built by reliable action and mindful reflection. Build a simple loop. 1. Wake up, perform pre-action anchor. 2. Do your micro step. 3. Log it in your proof journal, even if minimal. 4. At day's end, review. What I did, how I felt, what I'll align with tomorrow. Tracking isn't about pressure, it's about reinforcement of trust through repeat evidence. 5. Layered practice to guard momentum. Trends and motivation fluctuate. For momentum to persist, stack multiple supportive elements. Morning intention anchor, micro-step ritual, emotion reset pause, evening proof reflection. Even if one piece fails, e.g. you sleep in, the system remains active through the other layers. Resilience is redundancy in action. 6. Scaling with compassion. As momentum builds, avoid the trap of adding more pressure to act more perfectly. Scale slowly. Increase micro-steps only when momentum feels easy. Add minor complexity only after emotional alignment stabilizes. Share fewer detailed pieces. Performance isn't required to reinforce identity. Stretch without summary table. Ritual infrastructure, element, purpose, purpose. Pre-action anchor, emotional recalibration before tension. Micro-step ritual. Minimal alignment to maintain momentum. Reset pivot. Rapid emotional realignment when stuck. Environment cue setup. Spatial reminders that prompt action. Proof review log. Daily trust building through evidence. Scalable system. Growth through emotional integrity over hype. Takeaway. These rituals aren't tactics. They're behavioral scaffolds. They hold you steady as you move. Not just when you feel motivated, but especially when you feel weary, stuck, or uncertain. In Part 5, we'll anchor these ritual systems deeper, showing how to maintain them long-term, evolve them intelligently, and avoid burnout or doubt when resistance resurfaces. Stay with Think Fresh Daily. Real change isn't flashy, it's steady, it's intentional. It's built one aligned micro-step after another. You've gained clarity. You've examined the science. You've explored rituals and emotional resistance. But what sustains change when motivation fades or plans break? Part 5 offers the answer: identity-driven discipline. 1. Action becomes identity, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel like the type of person before acting, but identity doesn't come from belief, it comes from proof. You don't become productive by imagining it. You become productive by acting like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Example, you write one sentence today, not because you're inspired, but because you're committed. That action becomes evidence. Your brain remembers, I did that, even when it was hard. Do it again tomorrow, and it starts to trust you. Key idea: every micro-action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Identity isn't claimed, it's earned through repeated action. 2. Mental energy doesn't replace physical action. A common trap: thinking about your goal feels like progress. AI can flood you with perfect prompts, clarity, and ideas, but your brain only changes when you act. Dopamine is released when your brain anticipates reward, not when you complete it. That's why reading motivational content or planning routines feels exciting, but leads nowhere without effort. Even tiny actions like opening your notebook, writing one line, doing 5 push-ups, signal real momentum. These create chemical feedback that says, this is safe, this is real. Consistency trumps intensity. A small step daily rewires your brain. A big step once a month does not. Chapter 3. Reset rituals. Make grit sustainable. You will slip. That's not failure, that's feedback. The real question: how do you respond when your ritual breaks? Do you spiral into guilt or reset quickly? Do you shame yourself or breathe and begin again? People who build grit don't avoid setbacks, they build rituals to recover from them fast. Try this. 1. Breathe. 2. Acknowledge the slip. I missed my micro step today. 3. Do something small now. 4. Log it. That's how you teach your nervous system: I can always begin again. Momentum lives in restarts, not in perfection. Nash 4. When motivation dies, ritual keeps you alive. Trendy content will tell you to wait for energy or clarity. That's fantasy. Most days, discipline is dry and unsexy, so create a system that functions without emotion. Morning, anchor intention, 1 sentence, deep breath, 1 visual cue. Midday, do the smallest micro action you can. Evening, Log one piece of proof, no matter how small. Even if you miss a piece, other anchors keep you aligned. This layered structure ensures you don't collapse just because motivation does. 5. Personalized practice fuels long-term identity. There is no perfect routine. Your system must be flexible enough to meet you in real life. Ask yourself, as the person I'm becoming, what does my morning look like? What emotion tends to block me most? And what's one reset I can use in that moment? If I only had 60 seconds today, what action would prove my commitment? Tailor rituals to your emotional reality, not your ideal self. When your system fits who you are, not who you wish you were, momentum lasts longer. Discipline stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like devotion. Now 6, real example, from micro steps to identity shift. A Think Fresh Daily subscriber shared this. They loved planning. They'd ask AI for routines daily, but never followed through. Eventually, they committed to writing just one sentence a day. Some days they missed it. Instead of quitting, they wrote down how they felt, shame, frustration, embarrassment, and then wrote that sentence anyway. After a few weeks, the guilt faded. The action became a habit. After a month, they didn't need prompts. They became the person who writes daily, not perfectly, but consistently. This is transformation. Not feeling like a writer, but acting like one, until the identity lands. Summary: proof builds the new you. Concept, practice, but consistently. Action shapes identity. Small, aligned steps, day to transformation. Pair every insight with immediate movement. Reset is power. Breathe. Acknowledge. Re-engage. Layered ritual system. Have fallbacks when energy fails. Emotional fit over ideal. Build rituals around who you are, not who you pretend to be. Real examples, plans. Let action inform who you are becoming. What's next? In part 6, we'll bring everything together. You'll learn how to sustain this system, evolve it over time, and remain steady when the world spins fast or your energy drops. The goal: transformation that doesn't collapse when trends fade. At Think Fresh Daily, we don't hand you motivation. We help you build momentum that doesn't need it. You ready? You've gone deep into clarity, neuroscience, emotional resistance, rituals, and identity. Now it's time to anchor everything into a system that works long-term, not just when motivation is high or conditions are perfect. This is where you stop collecting tools and start living the transformation. #1. Your daily core loop transformation doesn't require intensity. It requires intelligent repetition. Here's a core loop that helps maintain identity-based momentum. 1. Morning intention. Anchor. One sentence aligned with who you're becoming. Say it aloud or write it. 2. Pre-action reset. Before any intentional action, pause for 5 seconds. Breathe. Realign. 3. Micro-action execution. One step that takes less than 5 minutes, e.g. journal, push-ups, outreach. 4. Proof capture. Write down what you did, even if it was tiny. 5. Evening reflection. Ask, did I show up today? If not, how can I restart tomorrow without shame? This is your daily practice, not a to-do list, a lived loop of becoming. Redundancy equals resilience. You won't always have clarity, or energy, or focus, so build fallbacks into your system. If you miss the micro-action in the morning, do it at lunch. If you forget to reflect, say your anchor aloud before bed. If you're overwhelmed, just breathe, then do one step. When one piece slips, the system still holds. Momentum continues. 3. Use AI intentionally, not incessantly. AI can help, but only if it aligns with your inner authority. Use AI to generate reminders, reflection questions, or micro-prompts. Avoid letting AI overwrite your intuition with perfect schedules or overwhelming checklists. Ask it to support the identity you've built, not create one you aren't yet ready to embody. Remember, AI is a tool, you are the builder. 4. Normalize boredom. Accept discomfort. Growth isn't always exciting. Sometimes it's slow, quiet, messy. The brain craves novelty, but transformation loves repetition. That's why people jump from prompt to prompt, plan to plan, never committing to one path long enough to change. Your job isn't to stay entertained, it's to stay engaged, especially when the process feels ordinary. 5. Revisit your vision monthly, not daily. Too many people rewrite their goals weekly and never build momentum. Instead, set your identity-based intention. Live it for 30 days. At month's end, reflect on your proof log. Who have I become through action? Refine, not rewrite your system. This process reinforces commitment over novelty. It makes growth stable, not erratic. 6. Track internal wins, not just external results. You may not see big outcomes immediately, but momentum shows up in small shifts. You chose discipline over delay. You restarted after guilt. You did the thing, even if it wasn't perfect. You stayed curious, even when you wanted to quit. These are wins. Internal, invisible, but they matter most because they change who you are. 7. Build a reset ritual. You can't miss when everything falls apart, your week's off, you're exhausted, motivation's gone. This is your lifeline. Breathe. Say, I begin again. Do one aligned action, no matter how small. Log it. Close the day with self-respect, not shame. This resets your nervous system, rebuilds self-trust, and proves to your brain, we don't quit, we reset. Final summary table. Sustainable action system. Component, role in your system. Morning anchor. Directs focus and intention. Pre-action reset. Calms resistance and sharpens clarity. Micro-action. Builds proof and consistency. Daily proof log. Reinforces identity through evidence. Evening reflection. Closes loop. Tracks integrity. AI use optional. Enhances, not replaces, self-direction. Monthly vision review. Keeps you aligned without losing momentum. Reset ritual. Protects momentum through challenge. Final reflection and call to action. Most people never change, not because they lack clarity, but because they lack systems that protect momentum when things get hard. If you've chased AI prompts, journals, or plans, yet still felt stuck, this is your moment to flip the script. From here on out, you don't need motivation. You don't need another breakthrough. You need one action today and another tomorrow. The system will do the rest. Want to go deeper? Subscribe to Think Fresh Daily. We don't hype you up. We hold space for your process. Slow, grounded, powerful. You don't need another version of your dream life. You just need to live into this one. Imperfectly, consistently, honestly. Let's build.